Hello everyone, good evening. Today is December 1st, 2013. Holy shit. Just holy fucking shit. Tonight's mid-season finale of Walking Dead was absolutely crazy. Oh my god. um, but tonight's episode is the 8th episode of season 4, titled Too Far Gone. And let me just tell you before you keep watching this review that there's going to be some minor spoilers that I mention. So if you haven't seen the episode, stop watching this review now. Go watch the episode, and then you can watch this review. Okay? Anyway, so the episode starts off with the governor. He's talking to his people in the camp, trying to rally them up to actually take the prison from Rick and his group. And he's saying, this is a place we could go and live. We'll be safer here. Safer there than where we are now. And at the same time, he says, I kidnapped two of them. He took Herschel and Michonne. And he wants to use them as leverage to take the prison without any killing. But I think that's a load of shit, honestly. And everyone stands behind him, basically, except for one person, Lily. The girl, Lily, who the governor slept with back in episode 6. And she doesn't like the idea of just storming this prison and taking it from these innocent people. So, there's a chink in the chain, so to speak. But the governor goes into the trailer where he's leaving Michonne and Herschel, and the two of them are trying to convince governor, saying, we could all coexist. Both groups can live together in the prison. And the governor, he doesn't want to do that. He knows that it would never work. He says, we've got, me and Michonne can never live together. Me and Rick can never live together. They're all enemies. So we finally get to go back to the prison. We haven't seen anyone really since episode 5. And it seems like everyone's getting better after the attack. Glenn's feeling a lot better. Everyone else who was getting sick, they seem like they're getting a lot better. And not only do we get to see everyone feeling better, but Rick finally tells Daryl about kicking Carol out of the group after Carol killed Karen. So, Daryl's not happy. He's kind of pissed because he kind of formed a relationship almost with Carol last season. I don't think it lasted very long though. But yeah, he wasn't happy. And then Tyrese comes along and says, come check this out. He found a hole to where he believes someone was, leading the walkers with rats, with this hole drilled into a door in the prison. He believes, I think the same person who's doing this also killed Karen. Obviously, it's not, because Carol is out of the prison, and she's, been kicked out, so it's not the same person. But that's the least of their worries, because Governor comes along. He's got his tank, he's got his army, his militia, and he says to Rick, come on down here, we need to talk. And what I loved about this, the governor's got his huge-ass tank, other trucks that are armed to the teeth almost, and Rick just walks down there alone with a simple pistol as a sidearm. That's it. So Rick's got some balls to be doing that. And he brings out Michonne and Herschel, threatens to kill him if, because he wants Rick's people to leave by sundown, or else, he'll take the prison forcefully. And obviously Rick declines. And there's some walkers that come by, and Governor shoots them. He says, that'll alert more, so it'll be more difficult for your people to leave if you don't leave now. But we go back to what I like to call Camp Governor, where there's just Lily and Megan. Megan's playing in the mud, and she lifts this sign out of the mud that says, "Warning, flash flood." And I thought that's where something, could happen with the river that they're next to. But that's not the one thing that's gone wrong. There's actually a walker in the mud, and something goes wrong in the camp. But there was one point, we see Lily sitting on top of the trailer, like watching over Camp Governor. And it took me back to season 2, back on Herschel's farm. Because when Dale was still around, he would sit up on top of the trailer and watch out for walkers around the camp. And it kind of reminded me of, back in the day in season 2 with Dale. And that's what Lily was doing. It was kind of like a homage to Dale's character, so to speak. So back at the prison again. Rick gives this incredible speech because he realizes the governor's not going to take. And he talks to not the governor, but to the people around him, to the governor's people, saying, "Do you really want this? Do you want, more death?" Because the governor puts Michonne's sword to Herschel's neck, and Rick gives this great speech about, trying to change each other and trying to change themselves. And it's where kind of the title of the episode comes into play. Too Far Gone. He's saying there is never a time where we can change. There's no one that's too far gone who can, go back to the way they were. And Governor he realizes that's not true because he couldn't change. He went back to who he was after killing Martinez last week. And so right then and there, he kills Herschel. I know, everyone, it's not good. It's very sad. Herschel's gone. Oh my god. It's a travesty. From right there, huge firefight goes around in the prison yard, and Rick, he gets shot in the leg, so he's a little wounded during the firefight, and there's guns blazing all over the place, and let's see, a fist fight goes down between the governor and Rick. No, before that, Lily all of a sudden shows up behind the tank with Megan, and from right there, because we saw what happened after the walker in the mud came into the camp, and from there, the governor, last week I said the governor was like a version 2.0. From here on, we saw the governor like nothing before, kind of like governor version holy shit. But yeah, he orders his men take these fences down, and so the tank just rams through the fence and continues to uh, blow some holes into the prison walls, and then Rick and the governor have this crazy physical hand-to-hand fight, and governor kind of takes the advantage, and we almost thought Rick was gonna die, but thank God, Michonne actually saved the day and saved Rick's life. I'll leave I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to mention anything else to that part. But the tank makes its way up to the entrance of the prison. Um, Thankfully, during the firefight, Daryl got his hands on a grenade, took out that tank. Daryl's honestly my favorite character of the whole show. He's a badass. Um, so during the firefight, the survivors of the rest of the prison uh, get on board to the bus, including Glenn, so he's safe, everyone. Uh, but during the firefight, those survivors on the bus, they left. They needed to evacuate the prison, and that's where we saw um, Rick's group start to spread out into groups again, into smaller groups. So there's people on the bus who had to leave, and by the end of the firefight, the governor's militia, they're taken out. But uh, after the bus leaving, who's left? There's Carl, there's Rick, Tyrese, Daryl, Maggie, and Beth. And the younger girls that Carol was supposed to watch out for, one of them was Lindsay, and her younger sister, they stayed behind as well. Because we saw Lindsay, grow up. We saw in like episode 2 or 3, she was kind of a weak person. But all of a sudden, during the firefight, we see Lindsay pop one of the governor's militia fighters right in the head. We saw her really, kick some ass. We saw her grow up. It was great, actually, because now she can she can learn to fight. There could be another ass kicker in the group. Speaking of little ass kicker, at the end of the firefight, walkers got into the prison, and we saw a bloody car seat that Judith was supposed to be in. After getting saved from Michonne, Rick looks for Carl. He's alright, though. They're both alright. But they're looking for Judith, and they see the bloody car seat, and they both break down. They both are just torn apart. They have lost almost everyone they love. But honestly, I have speculation. Judith could be dead. Judith could also be dead. But I do have speculation that she could also be on the bus, honestly. I think Little Ass Kicker could still be on the bus with the rest of the survivors. But who knows? So by the end of the episode, we have like 3 different groups. We have the group on the bus, we have Rick and Carl as a group, and then we have everyone else, I believe. Tyrese, Maggie, Beth, the girls, Bob. I think there's 3 different groups right now, I believe. Who knows? Even more, possibly. And it's crazy how this episode ended. Carl and Rick they're wounded and they're just leaving the prison. The prison's gone, everyone. That's another kind of, the prison was kind of a character who died this episode too. It's a shame. So, tonight's episode, just absolutely insane. Full of blood, gunfire, and some deaths. Um, Let me just say, next year when Walking Dead comes back, um, the show comes back February 9th on a Sunday, obviously, and you know everyone's scattered throughout the outside world, and we don't know who's okay, who's not. Um, so yeah, I'd just like to say, Scott Wilson, the man who was Herschel, there was no one else who could have done it to be Herschel Green. Scott Wilson, I thank you. I thank you for being our Herschel. And we hate to see you go. Rest in peace, Herschel Green. To everyone else, good night. And Walking Dead reviews will come back February 9th when the show returns. I'll see you all later. Have a good night. Bye.